All right, what's up everyone? It's Mike D, and there we go. There's the good camera angle. How I doing? Happy Tuesday night. It's Mike Deary, and we're hanging out to do a live guitar lesson tonight, where I'm gonna teach you the song Rockin' in the Free World by Neil Young. Super fun tune to play. While people are just kind of hanging out and coming into the live lesson here, I'm going to jam out for a second on some of the soloing section that I'll show you in a little bit. So hop in, say hi, tell me where you're from, and we'll get started in 1 or 2 minutes here. All right, what's up? Hey, Stella, Western Australia. I love it, so cool. Len, how you doing, buddy? Great to see some familiar faces and some fun friends. Welcome, everybody. It's been a little bit since I've done a lesson, so it feels really good to be back here. Everything's been awesome in my world. Hope everything's been awesome in yours as well. Hopefully you've gotten some good time to play some guitar and hang out with your family and do all that fun and stuff. And for all the dads out there, happy Father's Day. I hope you had a great day. A couple days ago, it was fun for me, spending the time with my dad and my family, just hanging out. So today I'm really excited for a bunch of reasons. We're going to be doing a lesson to teach you how to play the song Rockin' in the Free World by Neil Young. And by the way, as I'm going here, just give me 1 or 2 people to type in and just let me know if everything sounds and looks okay. So we're going to be doing a lesson today to teach you an actual song, which I haven't done pretty much in forever on my live lessons. But I want to test out a new format that I'm going to be doing with song lessons. I'm not sure if I'm going to get heavy into doing them, but I wanted to start providing more of these. And the other thing that I wanted to do, awesome. So the other thing that I wanted to do is find a way to make learning a song as easy as possible. And that's one of the things that I'm going to, show how I'm doing that with this lesson. The thing that I've been finding as more students ask me to teach them certain songs is that guitar tabs and how to learn a song, to be honest, seemed like it went backwards. I literally just spent some time recently looking up some tabs for people, and I was like, what the heck is happening to guitar tabs? It was just a big mess, and there's a lot easier ways that we could make learning a song less intimidating and easier. So what I've done is put together a 1-page sheet that has everything. Great. Awesome, guys. Thanks. So we have a 1-page sheet, and there is a link in this video description. And if you're on my email list, you already probably have this, or I'll send it to you, and you'll also get it in the replay. But what I have here, that is what I'm going to be going through to teach this lesson. And basically, I wanted to create a way where if everything you need to learn about a song on how to play it is not on one sheet, then make it simpler. And that's what we have here. We have a 1-page sheet that's going to teach you all the parts. I'm going to go through this step by step, and everything that you need is going to be on screen. So you're welcome to download this, print it out, and make it easier on yourself moving forward. But everything that I do is going to be having all of the tabs on screen. The other cool thing I'm excited about is that I got a second camera and can easily switch between this second view, which gives you a nice close-up of my hands. So I'm really excited about this because that was one of the other things that, people that were working with me said, I really wish I could see your fingers better. So this is about as close as it's going to get before your eyes kind of get, before your eyes hit my fingers, if you will. But anyways, I'll be able to switch to this view to kind of show you some close-ups when we need it. So, a couple great things. Let's jump in and get started. So, whether you're brand new to guitar and you're just getting your foundational skills down, or if you've been playing for a while and you're just looking for a new way to approach learning songs or this song in particular. What pickups do I have in this? Good question, Steve. So first off, since you asked, this is actually my favorite Strat. It's a Japanese Squire, which is from the mid-'80s, and it's just my favorite guitar. It feels like home. It just got this more rounded neck. These are all what they call Seymour Duncan hot rails. So it's a humbucker pickup that fits inside of a Strat single coil cavity. So they give you a little bit more grit. They give you some more oomph. And they make specific ones for the neck. These two I think are neck, and then this one's the treble. So I get a little bit more oomph for rock tunes with these pickups. You got it. And if anybody else has questions, please ask while we go. That's the whole point. I could interact with you. I got a chat right here to see what you guys are typing in and asking. So let's jump in. What we're going to do first is learn the chords that we need to know for this song. The cool thing about this song is that you only need to know 4 or 5 chords. All right, and they're super simple. The song itself is really simple. The speed of it might be the one thing, depending on where you're at, which would be a little tricky, but I'm going to give you tips on how to take it down and learn it slow. We're going to use a combination of power chords and open chords to play this. So let's jump in. We have really only 2 sections that we need to learn. We have the verse part and the chorus part. Now there's also what I'm going to call the intro, and there's also a section for the guitar solo. But something that you want to know about learning songs is that all the parts repeat, especially if you're the rhythm player, and that's what we're going to focus on in this lesson, is how to play the chords and the rhythm to this song. So if you're trying to hunt out on how to learn how to play a song and you find a guitar tab site and you see that the guitar tab is like 10 pages long, it's very intimidating and frustrating to think that you got to learn all that and follow along with it. To simplify it, all you want to do is say, what are the chords I need to play for each section of the song? Being the verse, the chorus, maybe there's a bridge, because these parts just repeat when you're a guitar player. So what we're looking at now is the whole part for both the intro, the verse, and the guitar solo. So this starts off by playing a good old E power chord, all right? If you've never played an E power chord before, let me go ahead and switch to our new fancy view. What you're going to do is put your first finger down on the 2nd fret of the A string, okay? The big string is going to ring open, and I'm going to play the 2nd fret on the A string and also the 2nd fret on the D string. I'm actually going to use this one finger to push both of those strings down, all right? Now, test each string out one by one. All right, right now, if I don't have my distortion on, let's try this with a clean tone. That's what we should get. Make sure your fingers are towards the front of the fret. You don't want them back here where you have room for the notes to kind of wobble a little bit, and you also don't get as good tone. You want your finger to be towards the front of the fret, just like that, all right? So we got our E minor power, or just an E power chord. And by the way, if you're looking at the chart, E5, you see D5 and you see C5. The number 5 next to a chord name means that it's a power chord. I'm not going to go crazy into theory here, and if anybody has more questions on it, I'm happy to answer them. But a power chord is made up of the root note and the 5th of that scale. And that's why there's a 5 there, but all you need to know is that if there's a 5 next to a chord name or a note name, it means to play a power chord. So, there's a little chord chart on top of that. We got open on the big string, 2nd fret on the A and D string, and then all the other strings should be muted. And what happens almost naturally is that I use the skin from my finger right here, actually right there, to lightly touch those other strings. By doing that, I get a nice tight sound. All right? Because the secret to rock music is being able to control the notes that you don't want to ring out. Okay? You don't see rock guitar players on stage being super careful about how they play. You see them wailing through chords. And that is just one of the most almighty of rock guitar chords, is the E power chord. So again, I have these 2 notes down, I hit the big open string, and I have my distortion on. So I'm on an electric guitar with some distortion. If you're on an acoustic or a clean guitar tone, it sounds just as good. Well, maybe not just as good, but it sounds good. Okay, so there's my E power chord. And what we're gonna do is play this 8 times. And it's played with 8th notes. So if you want to get technical and count it, you're counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right? If you don't know how to count rhythm and all that, don't worry about it. Use your ear, think tribal, think about a drum. If I were to hit a drum and just play a rhythm and say play that rhythm, you'd probably be able to do it just fine. So just listen to the rhythm. All right? And that's our E power chord. The other chord we need to learn is the D power chord, okay? Now, this one is going to be the movable power chord shape. And if you look at our chord chart, what we're going to do is use our first finger on the 5th fret of the A string. All right, it's the note D. I got that note there. And then my ring finger and pinky go on the 7th fret of the D and G strings, all right? What I like to do is actually put these 2 fingers down first. Make sure you get good tone out of it. Okay, so if I'm on a clean tone, you can see that these 2 fingers here are tight together. There's no space in between them. You don't want this to happen because now my fingers have room to wobble and it's hard to get one good tone out of it because my fingers don't push down evenly. Whenever you're doing a guitar chord, try as much as possible to keep your fingers tight together and act as one big finger. So I actually have, you know, my pinky kind of tucked right underneath so that I got one big finger. I don't have this going on, I got that. All right, so when we have our chord here, we put these 2 down and then I could easily maneuver my first finger where it needs to be. And this is going to be again on the 5th fret. Now, if you look at the chord chart, the big string is actually got an X on it, which means it's muted. And here's another trick on how to control those strings that you don't want to ring out. I'm going to use the tip of my first finger, and it's very gently touching the big E string. By doing that, it mutes it. So now I'm free to hit that string and not have it worry about ringing out. So if I'm on a clean tone, that's what I get. If we throw on our distortion, again, it's one of those beautiful chords that just, you know, is total rock. Just hit that chord, let it ring out, let everybody in your house hear you play that, and enjoy it, all right? It's so widely used, if you don't have this chord shape down already, you're gonna wanna get great at it. Now here's the other thing that's really fun about this. All I need to do to play the C5 or the C power chord is take this exact same shape and slide it down to the 3rd fret, okay? All the same techniques apply. I'm gonna take the same shape and just move it down to the 3rd fret. All right, and we're gonna hit each of these once. We got D5, and then we got C5. Okay, anybody got any questions on that? Is that all making sense? Everybody good to go? So when I play through this, let's play the whole part, okay? The 2 little dots on the side of the notation there mean to repeat. So this riff, or if you want to call it a chord progression, you can. It's a little bit more of a riff, but basically this is going to be 2 bars long and then it just keeps on repeating. So let's check it out. Okay, now, awesome, great, Steve. So here is a little trick. We're going to simplify this even more, okay? So we're going to show an alternate version of this right here. Now, this is a little bit more of a standard guitar tab that you would see with all your numbers and the lines. If you guys aren't familiar with this, this is what you see when you look it up on the guitar sites. And this is about as easy as you could make it as far as being able to learn a song and not knowing how to read music, okay? Let's see, SK, can we make by taking the pressure? Can we mute by taking the pressure off our finger on the A string? Never mind, made it work. Awesome, good. I love that you're testing it there. So much of this is trial and error. I could sit here all day long and say to do a million things. You could look at my hand and look at every angle until you grab your guitar and try this out. That's when you really figure out how to make all these tiny little adjustments that make it work. But you don't want to bring your thumb up because it locks up too much of your hand. You want to just use the tip of your first finger. Chances are it's actually muting it already. What you don't want to have happen is that you don't want it to also push down the big string. Now it becomes a different type of chord and it's kind of muddy and it doesn't sound good. So make sure that the tip is only touching the big string to mute it. Okay? Now, if we look at our guitar tab in this alternate version, if we want to simplify this even more, the trickiest thing about learning songs is changing chords. Let me switch back to my other view just to mix it up. Okay, you guys digging this other camera view? Okay, let me know. So if we, and now I got this thing all up on my face. Hang on, let me make this a little smaller so it's not cutting out my face. There we go. Okay, so one thing that we could do to make this easier is not worry about pushing down those two frets and only hit the big open string. Okay? Because that is the note E. And when we do an E power chord, there's only two notes that we need to ring out. You have an E and a B. If I don't play the B, it still sounds pretty good. If I play it with it, it sounds a little meatier, sounds a little more full, but you certainly still get the point across. So if you want to make this even simpler, get your hand ready on the D power chord that we just showed. And instead of muting the big string, get your finger a little bit out of the way so that the big string rings out. And now I could go ahead and play this and just hit the open string and I'll be ready to go for the chord. In other words, see, this is a little trick because now I don't have to worry about going to this shape and then to this shape and then this shape. I could just stay in this mode to kind of get ready for these two changes. So if you're still getting used to playing and moving and changing chords quickly, we could do ourselves an easy solid here by not worrying about getting our hand in that first shape. You could just hit the open string. Just make sure you get your first finger out of the way enough. So that it rings out, okay? So that is the verse, it's the intro, and it's also what's used over the solo, all right? Can you go over that again? I hope you're joking. I can if you need to, let me know. And if let me know what part you want me to go over again, and I'm happy to do it. Just be more specific on which part, all right? So one other thing that we're gonna talk about with this part of the song is using what's called palm muting. All right, now this isn't really notated in the tab, but something that's done on this song when he starts singing is using what's called palm muting. Here's the difference. This is not palm muted. This is palm muted. Now, it might look like I'm not doing anything different, but the secret happens over here. When I palm mute, what I'm doing is using this part of my palm in my picking hand to rest on the strings. Okay, again, if you're a little more advanced, you already know palm muting, just hang out. If this is new to you, a technique that's done all the time with rock tunes to help bring down the intensity and the volume and just to get a different sound is what we call palm muting. I literally take my palm and rest it on the strings. The trick is what where you put it. In other words, if I hit this note and I bring my palm way up high, it's really dead. When I bring it back, you can start hearing the note. It even keeps ringing out even though my palm's down. And you'll feel it. You'll feel the string vibrating on your hand. So the trick is to get in that sweet spot. And then if I want to come off palm muting, I just bring my palm up, okay? So watch my palm here as I do this. Trying to get a good angle for you guys. All right, so that's what palm muting is. So in the verse, or when he starts actually singing the lyrics, you want to start the intro with it being open, and then when he starts with the lyrics, bring in your palm muting and it brings everything down. So listen to the difference. Palm muting. And so that's how we're going to work with being able to change the dynamics. Same chord. It's really an easy technique to get used to. Everything we're doing also is down strums towards the floor. So you don't want to have to worry about any fancy strum patterns. Okay, so the chord changed from E to D. So yeah, so the main idea here, again, if you want to do the change, let me go back to this view here. So if you want the full effect, you're going to have this power chord down here on E. And then after 8 hits, you're going to move right into this D power chord. All right, so if we're just going to E to D and you want to do it the correct way or the full way of doing it, you got this E down, and then you just got to move up. But you can tell that my first finger is already on the note it needs to be on. So don't change it. Just move it up to the 5th fret, get my other 2 fingers down, and we're good to go. Now, if you want to make it more simple, just have this chord ready to go like I have right now. Just make sure that your first finger is not touching the big string and that it could ring open. All right, cool, you got it, awesome. And again, you could do this palm muted. So that is the verse. It's the intro, it's also the part as a rhythm guitarist that will play over the guitar solo, okay? The other thing about this song is tempo. Now, this song is at about 132 at its full speed, okay? So that's your goal tempo, but you do not need to start there. Don't start there. Take this slow. If you could work with a metronome, which is the little thing that goes click-clock, all right, or tick-tock, whatever it does, work at a slower tempo. If you want to hear the goal tempo, here's what it sounds like with a metronome. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's move that up a little bit. There we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, so that's my goal tempo. Now again, if that's too fast, just take this whole thing way slower. And just so you know, this is also the same intro as another Neil Young song, Heart of Gold. And you couldn't have a more stark difference between songs. But it's literally the same intro. Here's your intro to Heart of Gold. E minor, D. So instead of going D to C, I just go D to E minor. So it's a fun way to show you how you could have something that uses very similar chords, but just by adding a lot of speed and some distortion, you go from folk Americana song to just in-your-face rock song, right? All right, that is our verse. So let's now jump in and talk about our chorus. Anybody got any questions? If you have questions on what we just covered, write them in and we'll jump in and talk about them. But now let's talk about our chorus, all right? And the first part of this, the bulk of the chorus, is going to be a 4-bar chord progression that loops. And what we have are G5, D, C, and back to our E5 that we started with. And we have our chord shapes at top of each chord. The D and C are open chords, and the G5 is very, very similar to a G open chord you're probably already familiar with. But let's go ahead and look at our closer view so you guys can see what I'm doing. All right, now, downstroke on the E. Yes, everything is downstrokes on this. So again, don't try to make it more difficult than it is. It's not so, it needs to be downstrokes, and it's not so fast that you can't keep up with it, all right? It's a pretty easy way just to keep that strumming hand moving down and just chug along, all right? Now, the chorus, what we have is a G5. And again, if you remember 5, 5 means power chord. Now, this is a power chord because even though we're using all 6 strings, we're actually using 5 and we're making sure 1 is muted. We keep repeating the same 2 notes. Okay, so we're going to start off with our middle finger on the 3rd fret of the big string for the note G. Now the next string is muted. You can see there's a little X in the chord chart. And by doing that, again, all I do is use the tip of my middle finger or the pad of my finger, and that's actually touching the next string very lightly. And by doing that, it actually mutes the string, okay? Now the next string is open, D is open, G is open, and then the last 2 strings have my ring finger and pinky down on the 3rd fret of the B and E string. Again, you could see how when possible, I'm trying to get my ring finger and pinky tight together to act as one big finger, okay? So if I put those 2 down first, it might be a little bit easier way to practice this chord if you're not already good at it, okay? Then what I could do is stretch that middle finger up to get to the big string. And again, as long as I'm pushing that one down, chances are it's gonna be muting the string right after it, like that, okay? So always practice every note individually for whatever chord you're working on before you try to play through the whole chord. But now, I have my full chord. And again, if we do G major, you can hear that it's very, very similar. The difference with G major is that I add my 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the B string, okay? And I could also keep my ring finger. I could stick with these 2 notes, or I could bring this one down. They're all the same chord or these 2 shapes are the same chord because I'm playing the same notes. I'm just putting them in a different order. So because of that, the actual chord name doesn't change. It's just a variation of that chord. But because in this shape, I'm taking my 1st finger off and I'm muting that string, that is the note that would make it a full G major chord. So by taking it out, I'm actually playing what's known as a G power chord. It's just in an open position rather than a power chord shape like we've done before. But the beautiful thing about this is that power chords really sound awesome with distortion. So when we hit our distortion, again, this is one of those chords that get it down and just play it once as loud as you dare and enjoy it. It sounds really fun to play. Feel free to get your arm, total Pete Townsend mode, if you will. So anyways, the chorus is going to start off with this chord here. And the rhythm is super easy. You just hit each chord once and count to 4. So we're playing a full whole note. We're playing a whole note for each bar. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Next thing we're going to do is go to a D major open chord. So if you're not familiar with this one, we got our 1st and middle finger down on the 2nd fret. We're going to go on the 2nd fret of the G string with our 1st finger. And then our middle finger is going to be on the 2nd fret of the little E string. And then my ring finger comes over and plays the 3rd fret on the B string. And if you look at the chord chart, we're going to avoid hitting the first string, actually the first two strings. So I want to start by playing the open D string. And again, if you want to start out on a clean tone, there's our good old D major, okay? So we got G5, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, 4, and now we're going to go to our C chord as an open chord. C's a little tricky if you're not familiar with it already because it's spread out a lot more. You see that when I do C, there's only so much I could actually get my fingers together. I do need to have some stretch here to get this out properly. But if you're not familiar with C, the big string is going to be muted or not ringing out. Good, buddy. I'm glad you're learning something. What'd you expect? All right, cool. So we got our ring finger on the 3rd fret of the A string. We got our middle finger on the 2nd fret of the D string. The next string is open, or it's open. So make sure it rings out. So to get this, you might need to adjust your middle finger, because if you get lazy and it lays down like this, the skin is going to touch that next string. So really push your arm out, get it away from you so that it rings out. Yeah, I know, it doesn't always happen online, yeah. Well, I'm here, I appreciate you guys being here, and I want to make sure you get something out of it, so thank you for being here. So, we got these two, then our first finger goes down on the 1st fret of the B string. And then the little string is also ringing open. And that's our C chord. 2, 3, 4. Now, this one's tricky because you don't have as much time. Well, you have more time actually. It's just tricky to move these chords around, okay? So, in other words, if we play the rhythm, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. So I got to go from this shape and get it over there, okay? And if you're also still new to moving chords, the other big trick, especially with open chords, is that you want to pick your fingers up, get them ready in air so that I could put them all down at once. So when I go from D to C, I don't go D and then I put this finger down, and then I put this finger down, and then I put this finger down. If I do it that way, I'm always going to be late and behind the beat. Now, you have to do it that way when you're first learning, so don't worry about it, okay? That's the process. We all go through it. But if you want some tips on how to get faster, see if you can go from one shape, and when you're ready, try to be in air and have the basic shape ready so that I could just put all my fingers down and have it ready. All right? There we go. Now I just hold that, and then I'm going to go to the E power chord that we started with to end it off. And that's the chorus. Now that's going to loop 4 times, okay? So we're going to play that. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And I'm going to strum it 3 times here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the 4th time, I hit the E power chord, and that's going to hold for 2 beats for the rest of the bar. So for that last bar, we got... Okay, again, super slow. 2, 3. And again, you can see how I just drop into place. I have that chord down so that everything is muted, that I don't want to ring out, so that my strumming hand is ready just to plow through all the strings. All right, so here's the whole chorus. And again, let's throw our distortion on and really get into the sound of this as it sounds more rock. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Keep on rocking in the free. You don't want to hear me sing, so I'm going to stop. But anyways, that's our chorus, okay? Now, this part happens 4 bars. The end of the chorus actually is this. They go to an A5, which is an A power chord, but again, if you look at the shape, it's in the open position. All you need to do is take your E power chord that you just ended on, move all your fingers down 1 string each. You can see how little I need to move when I do this. Here's E, there's A. All I'm doing is opening up the string by bringing this one down. Now, if I want, I could bring my thumb up here to mute the big string, and then that way I have that string muted. I'm going to play the next 3 strings, which I want notes to ring out on. And then the last 2 strings are muted. So now I'm able to have only the 3 strings in the middle of the guitar neck, or this way, to ring out. Again, it's a secret to control the strings you don't want ringing out, so that your right hand is free to just plow through everything and get that rock sound. Because again, if you don't do that, you can be left with a lot of extra noise. And when you have distortion, distortion brings out more harmonics and more sound and more noise. So if you're not playing something well, it's going to amplify what doesn't sound good. So when you use distortion, it's really important to practice first with clean tone to make sure you got everything really clean. And then when you go to play it with the power chord, or with distortion, it's going to be nice and tight. So our full chorus with tempo and metronome. So here's our metronome at 132. We're going to go ahead and play through this whole part. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now A5. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Back to my verse. Okay, so we'll get into doing the whole song in a second. One more quick tip to make this a little easier if you want is, instead of playing D and C open chords, use the same exact power chords that you used in the verse. They'll work really, really good. Check it out. So we got G, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. There's the difference with open. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. And there you go. Okay, so again, there's a lot of cool things that we could do with understanding some basic principles. Let me go back to my full view. And let me know if you guys have any questions on this, okay? Hopefully we're cranking along, and we're going to tie this all together now to finish the song. So, understanding these few principles about controlling strings you don't want to ring out, about how to simplify by only playing, the open string if you need to, and by using the same power chords rather than open chords. All tips to make things easier so that you don't feel like you need to learn a million different things to play through the song, okay? Now, let's put this song together. We have the 2 parts that are played. These are the only 2 parts that make up the whole song for the rhythm guitar part. Now, we just need to understand what order do we play the parts and how many times do we repeat it, okay? So what we have now is a basic song structure chart. So the first thing that you want to do, if you want to try to be able to play through the recording and play to the song, is learn each of those parts and be able to play it really well and clean and up to tempo. After that, now we just need to know what part we need to play and switch to. So rather than looking at 10 pages of sheet music and saying, oh my God, all this stuff, there's only 2 parts you have to learn. And then you just got to say, what part am I playing, the verse or the chorus? Remember, the intro is the same as the verse, and the solo is the same part as the verse. So I put this here, though, because when you see verse, you know that they're singing. All right, hopefully that makes sense. So the lyrics are part of the verse. The intro part will just play the riff or the chord progression that it opens with, okay? What effects are you using? Sounds like only the distortion. Yes, Stella, very good question. I am literally only using distortion on this. So, and I have a guitar amp that was built for me by a local amp builder. His name is John Now in Rochester, New York. So he built a custom amp for me, and I'm using the distortion sound of that amp. So I literally only have one foot pedal here that goes from my clean tone, which is this. And then if I want my distortion on, boom, there we go. Okay? I do have a couple other pedals for extra things. Like here's a blues driver pedal. But it's a little, you know, it's for blues tone. It's not as beefy as the distortion sound. So I literally am just using a, you know, guitar going into distortion in an amp. It's a 50-watt head. It's the cab that's mic'd up. It's a tube head, so it's nice and loud, and the distortion's really good. So anyways, there you go. There's really not too many effects to worry about on this song, so it's simple. So let's now look at the song structure, and I'm going to play through it as if I'm playing to the song. Now, I can't play to the actual recording for copyright reasons. So when you're done with this, go find this recording, look it up on YouTube, and see if you could put it together. The other thing that is a tip to make learning songs easier is don't try to play and start learning it right away. Look at the sheet music or the tabs that you have to work with and see if you could just follow along by listening to the song and following what part is happening when. Because the other thing that's frustrating is listening to the song but not knowing which part of the tabs correlate to the song. So if you could just listen to the song and with your finger on the full one-sheeter, in other words, let me find this guy here, okay? If I listen to this song and I'm following along, I'm saying, all right, here's the intro, 4 times, good. First verse, all right, and then just keep repeating over the verse. When it gets to the chorus, boom, we go to the chorus. That's a really good exercise so that you're comfortable listening and just watching, because you have enough stuff to worry about, a million things going on that you're trying to figure out. Don't try to play the guitar when you're first trying to learn a song. Just get familiar with what the music looks like or whatever you have to work with. Again, what I've done here is put everything you need to know on one page so we make it easy as possible, okay? All right, let's go ahead and play along to this. I'm going to leave this full sheet on here. Actually, let me see if I could, I don't know, let's see if I could, yeah, heck with it. We'll put it on here. I'll leave this view up, and let me just move this way a little bit so you can see my hands a little bit better. And I'm going to play along with it and call the parts out, okay? So here we go. We're going to start with the intro. I'm going to call the parts out and move right through the whole song, all right? So here we go. Intro. One more time. Now we're going to go to the verse. Same part, but palm muting. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Last time. Then we're going to go to the chorus. Chorus. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Third time. 2, 3, 4. Does it one more time. Then we're going to go to that A chord. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we go to the A chord. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. Now back to the intro. Second verse. Five, 6, 7, solo, or sorry, chorus. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 2, 3, 4. Power chords. Now becomes the solo. A5. So the solo, same part as the verse. And here we go. I'm going to loop it for us. So I'm going to go ahead and solo. Verse. All right, now it's going to do the verse, it's going to do one more solo, and then it's going to go back to the end solo, which is the same verse part, and then it just kind of fades out. So I had a looping pedal, which is a really good tool to use to try to get something going with your rhythm. Hang on, let me get this. All right. So hopefully that makes sense. Again, you have that PDF to print out. There's a link below this video. There will be one on the replay, and make sure that you're on our email list, and I'll send it out to make sure that you get that one-page PDF. Print it out. Everything that you need is on that one page to be able to play through this song. Now, a little bonus thing is if you want to have some fun with the solo, and this is a perfect song too, because Neil Young is not by any means a monster solo guitar player in the sense of being super accurate. But he plays what sounds great for the song, all right? And if you want to have some fun with this, use your good old minor pentatonic scale, and that's this guy here, okay? I'll have the replay up probably within a day or two. So, and you could probably see it right on YouTube after this finishes. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this up on YouTube, just because, again, like I said, copyright reasons, but I will have it on my site for Rock Guitar Power. Make sure you're on the email list, and I'll let you know when that replay is available, but you should be able to see it on my YouTube channel for Rock Guitar Power pretty much right after this is over, all right? So, the minor pentatonic scale. This is what we want to use to do the soloing. And what you want to do is start this at the 12th fret. So if you're not familiar with this pentatonic scale, it is the king of all guitar scales. And it's what pretty much every guitar solo you hear uses to some degree. If I start this at the 12th fret, let me go to my other view here. All we're going to do, and let me move back over here so you can actually see what's going on. There we go. So, 12th fret, we got our first finger here on the E string. I'm going to play the 12th fret. I'm going to use my pinky and play the 15th fret on the big E string. I'm going to play the first fret on my 12th. I'm going to use my ring finger on the 14. That pattern is the same for the next three strings. So the A, D, and G string are all the same pattern, 12, 14. And then the last two go 12 to 15. Okay? So if I play my rhythm, my verse or my solo part, and if you don't have a way of a looping pedal or anything else, literally get your phone, get out an app to record a voice memo, and play the rhythm for like 4 minutes in a row. Just sit there, hit record, and play. Keep doing that for 4 minutes. You'll get really good real quick. All right, now that's the same as me doing this in a looping pedal, which I did when I played along. Okay? Now, while this plays, I'm going to play this scale over top of it. All right? I'm going to first play the rhythm, and then I'll loop it up, and then I'll play the scale. Check it out. All right, here we go. Pentatonic scale. Okay, now, nothing fancy. I am not going to, become a rock god by playing just that. But you could hear how it works. You could hear how it sounds good. And now when I do some fancy soloing stuff, I'm just using standard licks and patterns that are all within this one scale pattern. So when I do a little bit more serious soloing, I'm going to be using only the notes that you see in this pattern. Check it out. Okay, now I do some fancy stuff like bending and sliding a little bit and vibrato, but I'm only using the notes in this scale pattern. So that's a fun way to get started. If you're not familiar with this, I have a bunch of courses on Rock Guitar Power that teach soloing. There's the course called the Soloing and Lead Playing Program. And if you're really into soloing, Super Guitar Licks is all about teaching you way more in-depth and advanced soloing techniques. Teaching you a lot of licks, all of which you could use over this song, and so forth. So anyways, that's everything I wanted to cover here. Hopefully that was great. You guys had a lot of fun. If there's any other questions, type them in here, and I'll cover them in the last few minutes. But let me know what you thought about this. Let me know what you think about the different camera view. Let me know what you think about that guitar tab once you get a chance to download it. Let me get rid of this thing here. There we go. And and let me know if there's other songs that you want to be able to learn to do this. Again, I'm not at the moment jumping in and doing a lot of songs, but this is just one of those songs that's super fun. It's easy, and you could learn to play to the recording very simply, by following this simplified version of it, all right? And I'm going to try to get more songs in this simple format because, again, the last time I went looking, it's pretty darn confusing when you're seeing the tabs that are out there. So there you go. All right, guys, thank you so much. Have fun. Again, if you're not already, most of you are probably already going to be part of the email list for Rock Guitar Power and or Super Guitar Licks. Check both of those sites out if you're not. Again, there's free courses on there. There's paid courses for more advanced stuff. But keep in tune to the email, and I'll let you know both when the replay is available as well as other lessons. And always, Wild Thing, yeah. Email me some other suggestions. Wild Thing's a good song. Any other songs that you want to learn or other questions for topics for me to cover on these live lessons, send them in and I'll be able to do them in the next videos, all right? All right, guys, take care, have fun, be safe, and go play your guitar. Rich, great to hear, buddy. I love it. Awesome. I'll be sure to keep them coming. All right, guys, take care.